All right, I want to try and get something else up here this evening. So this is going to be about, well, you can see from the title what it's about. Basically, I want to address this Tren cough thing, and it's not really. That's what that's what most people know it as, but you can get it from a whole bunch of shit. You can get it from any oil-based compound. And I'm not going to start talking about this kind of topic, this kind of thing. I'm only bringing this one up because there's a lot of fallacies on the internet, and they just are perpetuated. And if you don't believe that, I mean, the basic, simplest way to verify this is if you pick any anabolic and you Google it and you want a definition of it, if you go and look on any of these bodybuilding anabolic oriented type of sites, right, where they think they're an authority, they'll have the exact same word for word verbatim information. It's somebody has written something out or copy and pasted something, and they've just all just redundantly repeated the same thing, and just, it's all the same shit. It's nobody that really is telling you something that they know. They're telling you what they've read, something you can just go do by yourself, and people take this as some kind of an authority. Well, I looked and just happened to somehow stumble across this, because somebody had asked me about it, so I took about 5 minutes to investigate what was out there about it. And of course, everything that's out there is bullshit. Nobody really has the correct information, can even explain what this cough is about. So I feel kind of stupid even having to explain it. It's pretty obvious, it's pretty basic, and I think if you really couldn't figure out what it is and you didn't understand how it works, then I'm sorry to insult anybody, but that means you have such a loose grasp on what's going on in your body that you probably should rethink what you're going to put in it, because you may not have enough knowledge to do this or make these decisions in an intelligent and safe manner. First off, I believe that all you need is test. Unless you're trying to be a pro, unless you're making money at it, unless it's your livelihood, which is very few people, probably nobody watching this, all you need is test, man. If you can't get it done with testing, don't kid yourself. There's something else lacking. Move on. Reassess. There's something wrong with your program, and that's not it. Test is there, check. What else is there then? Okay? Look, testosterone is so powerful, you can turn a woman into a man with testosterone. For all intents, besides the surgeries that someone may elect to have later, the rest of it, gender reassignment, they can do it with testosterone. So you're admitting that they could make, if you wanted to be a woman, you could become a woman. I mean, if you were a woman, you could become a man with gender reassignment, go through all whatever's involved in this with testosterone. That's how powerful a hormone is. But you can't take on more male attributes as you already are a man by upping your testosterone even more, which, like gender reassignment, right, to my understanding, and we do have such an individual in here that knows about that. I think, isn't he transgendered into a female? So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he knows people in the community, so he could probably tell me if I'm on the money with this or if I'm way off the mark or don't know what the hell I'm talking about. He'd be more of an authority on it than I am, I'm sure, in these matters and for these uses. But I'm pretty sure that the amounts that they use is much, much less than anybody out there that I'm talking to is using. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. But let's move on. This cough is it's so predominant with Tren acetate because it's a fucking acetate. You know what an acetate is? Okay, first off, you need to know what a transdermal carrier is. You know what a transdermal carrier is? You can probably figure it out just by the title, transdermal carrier, the descriptor. It's like DMSO, but that's not an acetate, but it's a transdermal carrier. That means you can put it on your skin, and you can take an aspirin and crush it up and rub it into it, and it will very effectively deliver that into your bloodstream. It will permeate into your bloodstream pretty quickly and effectively. It's a transdermal carrier. You can taste the aspirin in your mouth, the whole 9 yards. You could also use acetate. Is even more effective transdermal carrier. Don't recommend it, but if you're a painter, you paint cars or whatever, you work with acetates. If you take an acetate and you spill it on your skin, it evaporates immediately into your body, and anything along with it is carried into your bloodstream. It can be dirt, it can be grease, it can be whatever bacteria or germs on your fingers or your skin, whatever's there, along with the acetate. This is how, the testosterone gels work. A transdermal carrier in there that takes it into the bloodstream. So if you're going to put acetate into the muscle, wherever, whatever, you don't have to nick a blood vessel or anything, okay? Number one, if you have a decent amount of muscle to begin with, you've already developed that, then you've also developed a really efficient and complex, actually an overly evolved system with which to feed this muscle blood and nutrients. That means that the capillary system is expanded. You have a lot more blood vessels and a lot more efficient delivery of blood into that muscle than an average person has. Now, this is truth. So you put an acetate in there someplace, it doesn't take much for that acetate to be able to permeate and get into capillaries or into your, there's not going to be any veins that deep, hopefully, but this is why you always aerate anyway, right? So it's very easy for you to get it in there. It's not that difficult. If it doesn't happen, that's great, but sometimes it happens and it's no surprise. And your heart's not designed to pump oil, and your lungs are not designed to breathe oil. So it gets in the bloodstream, it gets pumped over to the lungs, goes by the lungs to pick up oxygen, and at the same time, it coats the fibers of the lungs with this oil. It doesn't take much, very, very, very little, and this is where the cough comes from. So the cough is actually, when you experience this, especially once in a while when you get it to a really heavy degree, right, you are actually getting a little taste of more or less a state of pre-congestive heart failure. If you doubt that, then all you got to do is mainline some of that shit. Or not even that, any oil base. If you were to, some people don't aerate. They like to play Russian roulette. Well, good for you if it works that way. But I'm trying to stay alive. If you don't aerate and you would happen to get into a vein, or maybe, I don't know, could get enough of it into your capillary system that it got into the bloodstream, but definitely a vein. If you mainline oil, you probably won't get the plunger all the way in before you hit the floor. And odds are against you getting to a telephone in time to call 911. That's how severe it would be. So that's what it is. No sense to me commenting. You know how I feel about these things and telling you that you shouldn't do it. You're going to do what you're going to do anyway because you've already made your mind up. It doesn't matter what I say. You'll just keep looking for other information until somebody else, whether it's true or not, says something that appeals to you, just to reinforce your own decision, which, in my opinion, is unnecessary for a grown man. You own your actions. You own your decisions. And so you don't need another man to tell you what it's okay for you to do. I mean, you can base things on experience, which are what our audience does. Of course, we share ideas both ways. I get great ideas from everybody here, all of the members of Gorilla Family. People email me, I get it from the comments. This is where I get a lot of ideas from. And I learn new things, like what I learned from Eric, Wojo, to see his physique and that he's been able to do this with plants and vegetables. I didn't believe that could happen before. I didn't believe it. But I've seen it with my own eyes, and I believe him. So now I know it's true. So I eat a lot more vegetables and plants than I used to. A hell of a lot more. And if I hadn't seen that, it wouldn't have sunk into me the real importance and necessity and value of it. Which I should have known all along, right? If I did my own research. Anyway, that's it for now. Just threw this out there as sort of a public service announcement because A lot of the young ones out there are reckless, and for whatever reason, this seems to be a popular compound right now. Again, you know, these things come and go in cycles, no pun intended. So I don't think it's necessary for a recreational guy. I don't think it's necessary for, I think a lot of things are not necessary. You know, but we're going to do what we're going to do. So that's it. Take care. Have an awesome evening.